It's so cool. Thank you.
Hey everybody.
After
Welcome
party.
back to the Golden Burrito After Party.
Still popping bottles. Saturday night, still popping bottles.
Yeah.
I'm a Golden Burrito Award winner.
With Golden Burrito Award winner Brian Hawkins
Popping bottles.
and nominee, because I don't think you were around for the early part. The poet also was in the nominated for crowdfunding, best crowdfunding book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're both nominee. You're nominee and winner.
Back up. The Lunatic Lover and the Poet was?
It was nominated for best
Yeah.
crowdfunder.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to pour one for that. That is crazy.
I guess. Yeah.
Here we go. I'll pop it up. I'm on the wrong brand. I'm pulling it up.
David
Oh,
Peoples.
where'd it go? I was just doing it. Okay, one second.
Oh, go ahead.
There it is.
Put it
All
on
right.
these two.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Oh, what a group.
Oh, and while we're here, Todd, correction for you.
Wait a second. Safe
Yeah.
sex.
It's
This
Twin
is safe
Blades.
sex.
Twin Blades
Yes.
was incredible. Who won?
Yeah, that's Safe Sex. No, Twin Blades.
Holiday Spirits.
Twin Blades was the actual nominee, but
Mm.
it was going to be Safe Sex, and then Burrito switched it to Twin Blades, and then I
Okay.
forgot to switch the text on it.
That's
Um,
amazing.
That was on me.
So-
Holiday Spirits won, and it's not
Okay.
fair because it's an anthology, so it gets more space and more
Wow.
chances to
And my name's in the credits.
And Todd's.
Hey, hey,
Whoops.
no implicit bias at all.
No.
None.
What's
Hey, but-
I still need to take that journalism 101 class. I'm not. People keep talking about journalistic integrity, and I'm like, I don't know what either of those words mean.
2022, throw that out the window. We
Yeah,
don't need
whatever.
that. Hey, but seriously, thank you for the nomination. I'm honestly like, I feel like I won. I'm just excited about the nomination. Seriously. It's
I mean, you
amazing.
did win. You won.
Well, true.
Yeah, you got like 1 1/4 wins. You're right up there with you got. It's like you and Matt Kent for most in the Golden Awards. Yeah.
Wait till I tell my wife that. I'm ready.
I'm basically Matt Kent.
Is she a big Matt Kent fan?
Girl, let me tell you who I'm like.
Hey, John. I want Bearded and John to discuss the golden burritos and argue about, because I'm pretty sure the ones 50% of them John would be like A, and then the other 50% Bearded would be A, and then they both
And they
be thumbs
wouldn't
down
line
on
up
the
at
other
all.
ones. Yeah.
And they wouldn't be the same ever.
Yeah.
And afterwards, they'd just decide to not ever watch our stuff ever again.
I'm Todd. Whoops.
I'm right.
I'm Todd.
I'm not a burrito, but I'm Brian. I could be
You're
a burrito.
Brian. Yeah,
I love
You're
burritos.
a burrito tonight.
Yeah. And I'm Jamie. I'm with For Everyone Media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you should go to foreveryonmedia.com/heareveryone-reviews, and you can see Jamie's latest Finger Guns review.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
interesting. Okay, check that out.
Which I hear is a pretty good book.
I read the first issue. So I mean, I have such a backlog of like I just got through my pull list, which was like 2 months deep. I just finished it like last week, so I have a new pile. I have a new pile that I just got Wednesday. So here we go.
The pull list is just like the Greek mythology of like rolling the boulder up the hill just for it to come back down in again, just like shit, here we go again. Good reading ahead.
I felt so good, Jamie. I felt so good completing it. I was like, oh man, like it was like nothing there. I'm just like, I've never done this. Then I'm like, man, I feel so good. I'm going to get my pull. Okay, now I'm 2 months. 2 months like, oh man. But I stay in communication with my comic book store. So I'm like, look, I'm not gonna be in until then. So I just want to let you know, just keep it tight for me. I'm coming in. Man, I'm like, here I go again.
Do you have anything you're most excited to dig into it? What like out of your pile that you got? Do you have anything that you're like the most excited to dig into?
I would tell you what I was shocked with, which I didn't. I mean, this has been a busy month and a half, but so I'm really excited about. I didn't know that Philadelphia was back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was back too.
It's back.
And so I saw that. I'm like, this. I mean, how long have I not been here? I'm like, when did I lose track of time? So I'm really excited about that. I am, I've collected all of Once and Future. So that was in my stack. I'm heavily in that. Oh, I love Once and Future. And I'm heavily into Milestone. So I picked up the latest Static and Hardware. Man, they're all over there. I could just go grab them as a stat. But I think I'm most interested right now in Philadelphia because I wasn't expecting it. I totally lost track of I read the end of volume 2. I got that last issue and I just didn't expect it to come back so soon. I'm just like, when did I miss this?
And there's been a whole arc. They're done with 18 now. So there's 13 through 18 is a thing. And it's starting back. It's starting back up.
I haven't read the most recent issue. I haven't read that.
I think it's next week, or it was this week. I haven't been to the comic shop.
No, it's this week. I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it because I've been doing this, and then Fem launched on Monday, and then this happened today. So I've been not doing comics this week.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But it's pretty good. But did you also grab Nita Hawes? Are you aware of Nita Hawes?
Okay. Now, so my question is this, because I'm still trying to figure out where my dates are. I just picked up issue 3. Is that where we're at currently? Issue 3?
No,
I think it's 4. I don't think it's far off.
Okay, so now here's the deal. I went on Wednesday, and they were still putting out their new books when I went. I went like 11:30 or so, and so they were still putting out new books. So I know that there's a Department of Truth that I have to go back and get because the latest one isn't out yet, right? And so I think the same thing with Nita Hawes. So I'm just getting to issue 3 because I really like Nita Hawes. So I picked up 3. That was in my pull. So everything in my pull was before this Wednesday, I think.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Right.
It's so good. It's so good.
I'm really into that. I like the for me, I feel like with Philadelphia, with it branching into, more issues, I feel like they've expanded into more characters, right? And so they have this set group. And I feel like right now, at least with issue 1 and 2, I feel like the Nita Hawes story is it's more singular. And it's her and there's just
a couple of people, but it's
yeah. It's like a blog, right? And it's
like a noir blog.
Yes. And it's really I really dig it. So and I'm a huge Rodney Barnes fan. So and I love horror, so I'm just like, this might be.
It's a good combo. And then JSA does amazing on art. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's nothing to complain about. There's
right. And he just announced that he's going to be writing the adaptation of The Mandalorian. He's doing the adaptation.
Barnes is?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
I don't understand that man's workload and how he has time to write comic books when he's writing everything on HBO and
he And he
Right.
travels something like it, like because I follow him on Instagram and stuff. Like, I mean, I obviously
Yeah.
just want to know this man's life. Thank God for social media because I can follow
Right.
him and
Right.
stalk him without being a stalker, which is so cool. But
He's always at the restaurant with just
you know,
like
in
some
the restaurant,
incredibly
I'm like,
famous person.
I'm like,
Yep.
Like, what?
like, yo, like the life you live is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
dog,
But then you mention Philadelphia without even a tag, and the dude's liking your shit. Like
yeah,
it's
That's
incredible.
so
It's like, how do you live
incredible.
this life and then do this over here? You're
So-
amazing.
that is straight. I mean, shout out to that Be More Maryland area. Like he's really just who he is. You know, he's a person, and I totally respect that. And we've like interacted through Twitter some, and I'm like, I'm like a fanboy. I'm like, oh, wait, we're talking about this. This is cool. Like you read
I know,
Black
right?
Cotton? I'm like, oh, like you know, I'm telling my wife about it. Like this is cool, and my wife like Rodney Barnes. I'm like, you don't know who Rodney Barnes is? Let me tell you who Rodney Barnes is. So, yeah.
That's how I told my wife when I was like, Rodney Barnes for some reason said he's going to come on on our show, and I was like, I don't know why.
I was like, why?
I don't know. He said yes. And I'm gonna assume it's not happening until it happens, and then it happened, and I'm like, he's gonna be like, gotta go.
I was gonna say that was early enough that was time where like I'm like, he's gonna show up, we're gonna start, and we're gonna be doing our thing, and he's just gonna be like, hey, I
gotta get going.
I gotta go, like make an excuse or something.
And no, the dude's amazing. He just chills and talks with us and like just hangs out, and it's amazing because he's just like. He's just a guy. He doesn't seem like he has an inflated ego at all, which is he deserves one.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's not there.
He could get away with it.
He could.
Yeah.
He could get away with it.
Seriously, like I have an inflated ego about him in my mind, like Rodney Barnes.
Yeah.
How do you not have an inflated ego about yourself? Come on.
Right?
He doesn't realize who he is. Do you know you're Rodney Barnes?
You not even realize who you are?
Do you know who you are? Yeah.
Do you
Dude,
know?
we're a Falcon.
I like that.
Right.
Like what?
Right.
A really important Falcon.
Yeah, and he said, and I remember reading an article about him writing, you know, hindsight, and he was just like, there were so many things that he did in that you know he felt like he could have done better. I'm just like, oh man, like you know,
Glad you didn't.
Like it was great, but like it's so cool to hear like you're still on this process of learning for yourself. Like you're in this for like the process, and that's so cool. That's so cool.
What's his other superhero?
Lando?
Well, Lando was good too, but there was
Quincredible?
Quincredible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that was awesome. It was really good.
I think he has a new volume coming out too. With
nice.
Like a volume 3, I believe.
I think so.
2 or 3. Yeah.
That makes sense because I've read volume 1 and 2.
Yeah. So, man, so dope, good stuff.
And then he writes Philadelphia.
And I think he's writing the pilot for the show too,
or at least in the process.
He's writing, or he wrote a James Bond for Dynamite, and he wrote
the Army of Darkness.
That's the one. Yeah, Army of Darkness is one he's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Rodney Barnes podcast.
For sure.
Oh, Rodney all the time.
Oh, there we go.
Rodney Barnes wins the Golden Burritos for everything.
There you go. The 2023 winner for everything.
They did win. They, as in the creative team, won best overall in 2020.
Yeah.
And then JSA won best artist, and then.
Yep.
Jeff Lemire won best writer at the time, but
Philadelphia
got best overall and best artist. That year was crazy.
Yeah.
And then Philadelphia wasn't up for it again because they already had that.
Because
So
we make
JSA and Rodney
arbitrary
weren't
rules.
up for them because we just decided to spread the love.
Respect that.
Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Yeah.
You don't even need to be a Wu-Tang fan. I highly recommend it because if you're not a Wu-Tang fan, who are you?
Wu-Tang forever.
Like, let's go. But you should listen to more Wu-Tang and then watch this.
Fair enough.
There we go. Yeah, I always assume if you're not a Wu-Tang fan, it means you haven't listened to enough Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. It's like I just haven't like carved out the space to go Spotify. Play me some Wu-Tang. Like that's
sure.
That's
fair.
legitimately the only reason.
We all have blocks in our interests like that, even though it might be something you love.
Next time you're not sure what you want to listen to, just
there we go.
Go into Wu-Tang.
Next time I need music playing during my office hours, Wu-Tang.
It's good office hour music.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
real loud.
Really loud.
Oh yeah.
Turn your speakers so they're like against the walls.
Outward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is good stuff, for sure.
All the way up.
Jamie, were you watching the Golden Burritos?
I was. Yeah.
What was there any one that you thought was the most egregious?
Like the biggest how fucking dare you kind of one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Like that's like
That
there
one.
were. So there were a few that like I was like
There were
this
so
is,
many.
Like, Nightwing and DC not being nominated was like okay, all right.
It got in best overall though somehow.
Yeah, it was somewhere in there. Like once it was on there, I was like,
It's not one of
this is
DC's best
comic
books.
Burrito
but-
logic. I'll let it go.
Yeah, that one hurts my brain.
Wonder Woman Historia that it wasn't a single issue nominee
Yeah,
was like
that's fair.
okay, all right.
I didn't read that.
And that's
Well,
yeah.
then you shouldn't be. I'm right. Then that's all I'm saying. You know.
That's fair.
That's it. Amazing.
Layla. I agree with Layla Starr for Boom. That was a fantastic series. I mean, I like nominees. I would have seen Once in Future in there nominated, but that's fair.
That did win last year.
It won in 2020, and that's why it didn't get nominated.
Die, I think, was one I was like, I would have nominated for Image.
Yeah,
But
I didn't read it.
that's just me.
that's a Nick thing because I think it was at least on Cole's, and I think I didn't even put it on mine because I knew Nick didn't read it, so I was like, I'm not going to waste
the
the
funny
space.
thing is now that we've done it twice, it's like it's in your head where it's like it's my nominations, but if I know Todd didn't read one, then it's like there's no don't even bother.
I mean, at like the end of the day, like I always try to remember that these things are like personal lists.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to be like I'm not like going to hate you because you didn't pick the book I wanted.
Sure.
It's totally cool. So like, it's
I was just
like,
curious what the one that you were most like, oh, that's not what I would do. I would have easily like this actually wasn't a competition that you guys thought it was, and you did it wrong.
I mean, I like all of them. I was like, and a lot of them I like different publishers I haven't read a lot of. Like I haven't read a lot of Aftershock or several of the others. So I was like, I'm just along for the ride on these. Beta Ray Bill, I was like, yes, absolutely, should have been on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have put Black Widow on the nominees for that one because Black Widow was really good this year. Kelly Thompson's doing an amazing job with that series.
I did not read
The whole
that.
creative team there is really good.
I've heard that before.
I'll have to check it
Yeah.
out then.
Like at least once every issue, there's a splash page that just makes me go, "Holy hell, that's really good."
That's
Did they
cool.
cancel? Yeah. Did they cancel that, or did it end? Or
It's still ongoing. It's still like I've got issue. This past week was the most latest.
Do you also read Spider-Woman by any chance?
I don't, and every time I see it, I'm like, I really should catch up on that.
That's the Marvel that didn't happen for me that I wish would have found a spot because I love Spider-Woman. It's so good. Isn't it great?
I'm only on issue 7. I read it through the Marvel app.
That's how I do it. Right? I do it the same way, and it's just like every time I see the notification saying new Spider-Woman, I'm like,
it's good.
All right, and then just
good. I actually read Daredevil through the app as well. And
what's that? Are we getting a?
What the?
Are we getting a like a cocktail recipe happening?
It's Festivus?
It's Festivus because it's end of year awards, so why not? I guess
Okay. The ice in the what is that going in that ice?
that seems like a gin or a tequila. I would
What
assume
is that?
maybe a vodka. It's
Oh,
gin,
yeah.
and New Amsterdam gin is actually my go-to for not breaking the bank, yet delicious.
Oh wow. I'm like this took over right now. I don't know what's going on.
I,
A little lime in there.
yeah,
Who's doing
a
this?
little lime. I have no idea. I put the link out for anybody, so this could be anyone.
They said
This
you
could
know
go
what?
real bad real fast.
Yeah,
They're
it
like,
could.
you know what?
I'm ready.
I hope you are on not on Eastern time, but you're about to have a good nightcap.
oh, what's going in there?
Is that a you putting
Is that a Fresca?
That's show us what
Tonic
it is.
water. Tonic
Oh,
water.
wow.
Okay. So
Okay.
gin and tonic is what I'm assuming.
Nice. I like it.
Because lime, gin, tonic, ice.
Gin and tonic and lime and ice.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure this isn't Nat, who, when it comes to gin and tonics, that's what I would assume. Oh, it's
stirred.
this. I thought this was a mixer.
Stirred,
Just,
not taken.
this is just a tumbler. Amazing. Oh,
I
shit!
knew it was you. I knew it was you.
And he's gone.
I knew it.
Amazing.
And that's
I
it.
knew it was. I knew it.
Amazing. I was gonna guess poser, but
I knew it was him.
I will say to finish up my point, the one thing I was really happy about with y'all
Oh.
on your best DC. Like, yes, thank you. It still hurts me every time I remember it's canceled. So I was like, to
Of
see
what?
that on y'all's top list, Wonder Girl.
Oh,
Like to
Yeah.
see that on y'all's list, I was like, yes, all right.
that one sucked. That it's gone.
Yeah,
Like that's rough.
still super upset about that.
It's one of those books that no matter what's going on with how pretty it was, you would think they would keep that around. Like I understand like if they're like creatively having issues or doing something.
Yeah.
It was probably their most gorgeous book on the market, and it's
Was
crazy
cool.
that they cut it.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
DC has
she had a hard time hitting deadlines, honestly, and that stinks. But you know,
Yeah, that
Here's
does
what it
stink.
Yes.
Hi, poser.
Oh, there he is.
there he is.
I've
Hey.
ingested my anxiety med, and now Daddy is making his
Poser
beverage before I go streaming in half an hour.
is right here with me, Poser. You did this. What
It was
an
fate.
incredible- What an
Because-
incredible gift this was.
What it was on Girls Talk Comics where you said you had your love for Thunder
Boom!
Barbarian,
Yes.
and that
Yes!
literally popped up on my Instagram feed the next day.
It
I was
all
like,
comes around.
it's fate.
Oh, it all comes around.
Girls Talk Comics. That's crazy because we
Exactly.
are now in the family of Girls Talk Comics, which is
all comes
For
around.
Everyone Media. You can go to foreveryonemedia.com and you can we're all there. It's amazing.
See,
It
you
all-
like that segue ability?
We're
Yeah.
coming for we're heading towards the Poserverse and doing our best to avoid it, but it's got a big gravitational field, and I'm very
I'll
scared.
take my shirt off like I did
That'll
on
help.
auctions. All right.
You and Cole.
Yeah. So here's my first shame on you for not putting Moths on a list. I think that is the biggest snub in both the art,
For
the
what?
series.
I read number 1. That was it. What am I supposed to do?
I didn't. What book?
Moths.
Oh, I did. Yeah, same. I read number 1.
That is probably my,
Yeah.
no offense for all the Black Cotton swag that I done myself in on Black Cotton Day. It is probably my favorite book of the year. And the art in it is just something you do not see in anything else. And it wildly progressed, especially by like issue number 5 when she's at like peak powers and about to die.
It's too many.
Oh.
I'll
Number
read
2.
the trade. I'm gonna read the
We'll
trade.
add, maybe
And
we'll
maybe I'll
add
regret it then.
we'll add a new category next year of stuff that was snubbed
Biggest
because we
snub.
hadn't read it yet.
Yeah, biggest
Yeah.
snub.
Best trade
category.
weight or
Yes.
Who won Best Publisher last year?
Image.
Yeah.
And it was up against, it was AWA, Image, Boom were the big ones from
So
2020.
how does AWA not make the list this year over DC?
Because
DC was
Because you listed a bunch of books for DC that were good, that all of the better books that you listed should have been DC's nominees, but they weren't.
to be fair, the books that were listed, I was the one that listed the books, and that was my personal list.
Yeah, you could tell that from Far Sector and Season 2 of Green Lantern.
Well, that's because
That's my
I
list.
did. That was
mine.
me and Nick, because
Mhm.
I chose Far Sector as my number 1, and then as my nom, and then Nick chose, he already chose Far Sector, so I was like, oh, Green Lantern Season 2, then if you're already going to cover me on Far Sector, we're all set. And we
But then
got
I
2
forgot
Green
that
Lanterns.
was even a thing, and it was like that was one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
So
It really would have probably been flipped if Nick was thinking, but
yeah, I wasn't.
So you're gonna give DC a pass for that whole bumblefucked future state thing that took up
Yeah.
like half a year.
Yeah.
yeah, because we went off of our feelings and emotions and what we loved the most, and it
We
and
just
that's-
ignored that
and we ignore that because
because
It
that's what
gave-
everyone should do.
There was
Good
also,
stuff.
Harley
Yeah.
Quinn last year. That was amazing.
see,
So
That one I will agree with because Stephanie Phillips.
yeah, it's amazing.
She rocks, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that would be far better than like I really feel like, and I know that your Green Lantern tattoo will climb out of your skin and come down to Kansas and whoop my ass. I thought the end of Season 2 became quite incomprehensible. Well, yeah, AWA sucked with Erratic.
Yeah.
And,
that was one of the
whoa.
highlights.
No. And what
Erratic
was
was
the
great.
what was the toys one that was not good?
Would you include Chariot last year or this year?
This
Last
year.
year, right?
This
We
year.
did this year.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It was this
Well,
year.
that's what makes it hard
won.
to-
I love
That's right.
Chariot.
You came in at 10:30.
Yeah.
Chariot won AWA Best of the Year for us. this
Okay,
year.
okay, good. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
because Chariot's
Well,
amazing.
Yeah.
What's hard with a book like Villainous, that I liked Villainous. It was one of those that straddled a calendar year but fit firmly within a fiscal year.
Uh-huh.
I pulled.
Oh
that.
yeah, Bite Size
Right,
was
Bite Size.
awful, and I love Cullen Bunn, but
Chariot.
yeah, I think
Soon to be a movie, by the way,
between
right?
Chariot, Not All Robots,
For Chariot, yeah.
the twist with Fight Girls, and
haven't read that.
I haven't read it.
the 2 books that you didn't read, Moths. Did you read Telepaths?
Nope.
No.
You just listed 3 books Nick and I have
I
not read.
heard Telepath was really good.
Then
I haven't read it.
you should read those.
I heard Telepath was
And
really
then
good.
tell me
I
why
will.
I'm right and you're wrong about DC being on the
Other
list over
history of the
AWA.
DC universe. DC put out the other history of the DC universe and Far Sector in the same year. I don't care what you just said. Both of those books are some of the best books that have come out in a
I
decade.
am fully glad at how woke DC has become, that it
It's
took
incredible.
them until the year of
Ooh.
our Lord 2022
Ooh.
to acknowledge that superheroes history is shit on people of color
Yeah.
and that they needed a lead. Like,
Yep. Because
I'll give them
they're
the same
shitting
kind of
on
slow clap that
because
Marvel
current-
gets for putting out Voices once a month, where it's like, oh, women exist this month. Like,
But the people who are at DC right now aren't the people who were there 30 years ago making those decisions. It is current DC leadership shitting on what DC used to be. That's amazing. That is
sorry.
because it's not the same people. It's not the same people who made these terrible decisions. Then they're going like, John Ridley, you want to fuck all and shit over all of this? Awesome. Let's fucking publish it and just do it up. And they do it. Incredible. And then N.K. Jemisin makes the best Green Lantern story of all time.
Also, the DC Pride book was, as a single issue, amazing and like so much better than Marvel's attempt at the Voices Pride book that they put out.
That
Yep.
I don't disagree with at all, but I think my issue with the Pride or the Voices is it almost feels like a reach to tokenize and like look at the defense of new Superman being bi. Like DC should have like if they legitimately want to increase the waves of representation, then I think there should be a more full-throated defense of their queer characters, of their characters of color. Like the Pride book, I agree, was amazing, but I think they're as guilty as Marvel is.
Well,
and
I will say,
What?
what I liked about DC's Pride book over Marvel's was DC's Pride book. There were so many things. It was just like a slice of life. Like it's just the characters being the characters, their people. Whereas Marvel was much more of like, oh hey, like look, like much more pat on the back and being like, oh hey look, we have a queer character telling a non-queer person what it's like being queer, and it's like, okay Marvel, good for you, but like, is every story needing to be that? Whereas DC was much more like, we have queer characters and they exist and this is just their life. I appreciate that.
Aren't those all pandering?
But
No,
let's say I feel
you
like
can't just walk away after saying that.
But see, I feel like what's happening is this. I mean, and here's my implicit bias. I feel like what is happening is this: is that the best Marvel and DC books are really indie books. It's really taking what indie comics is doing, being woke or being introspective, like it's doing that, but on this big two mainstream level. And that's why, but see, the kicker in which they know is that we're doing it with characters that you already know exist. And so now it becomes this bigger thing because it's like, oh, these characters I can relate to more, I understand more, they're more palatable, right, to this time.
Yeah.
But this is what indie comics is about. It's about telling the real stories. It's about the human condition. It's about traversing these lines that exist within this human experience. And all the books that you've named with DC, that are so great, Far Sector, the other side, it's DC bridging themselves into this new era, this new world where it is more acceptable, is more profitable, and it actually does good to the medium, which you can't.
That would be the only
is
other book that I would give shame in this same vein for not putting on a list is I really think Home should have been on Image's list.
Who?
I didn't like it after number one nearly as much as number one.
Home
Home
I
was
think
great.
what that
Was
book
one of our
did-
first weekly golden burritos that we gave out because that week of This Week in Comics, Todd, myself, and Cole all had Home number one as our number one book of that week.
Because where I think that becomes a good piece of
I feel like I need to interrupt just to
Yeah,
say hi. It is cold, and I'm gonna go because my phone's dying, and I'm outside of a bar. And
All right,
it's so
can we
fucking
take
cold.
what's that? Can we take a minute and then you can leave after you? Here,
Yeah.
we're gonna do something real quick because we were in that was such a heavy conversation
That was
for a
really
second.
good conversation to catch the end of it, and I'm really glad I sat out here. But then it got really, really cold.
Okay, so we have one last award to do, and it is an award from For Everyone Media through the Golden Burritos. Aaron,
Yeah,
and Jamie,
it's the Golden Taco. I'm still excited about that. Jamie announced the book. Yeah, I'm so close. so sorry.
Aaron, where are you, Aaron? Where are you? You so cold. Where are you?
I'm just in Kansas, and it's just cold.
Click your heels. Click your heels.
It's fucking freezing.
Help me. Okay.
All right.
I think the book we did was what? Delicates?
Delicates.
She's so cold.
She's so cold. She forgot.
The Golden Taco Award winner is Delicates.
Love this.
Brianna Thumler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Congratulations. Delicates, Sheets. You should read Sheets, and then you should read Delicates. And then Aaron might be leaving in the middle of this, so I'm just going to do a quick bye, Aaron. But in case you didn't watch this, you can also watch this too. But we have, it's not going to be a weird stock video that I put music behind. Brianna has words to share about accepting the Golden Taco.
Better have the music, though.
Hi, I want to sincerely thank you for presenting my graphic novel Delicates with the first ever Golden Taco Award. I've had a lot of taco-related joy in my life, and this is by far the best. There is my cat. Delicates is the sequel to my first graphic novel, Sheets, and both are sweet, sort of strange ghost stories that center on mental health. I am a big advocate of mental health in children's and teen literature, and it's wonderful to feel this being celebrated, especially by way of metallic Mexican cuisine. So thank you to everyone who was involved in selecting Delicates for this most prestigious award. Every taco I eat from now on will feel just a little more special.
Yay! Congratulations.
I need a link in here to send me to a copy of Sheets and Delicates now.
Oh, you need to. That I will say.
It's so good. It's
that
so good.
book is super difficult to read to your daughter without like crying.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I read it to my daughter and like I'm getting through Delicates and like finally got done and it was like, all right, go clean up your bedroom. And she's like, okay. It's like,
hey, send me the link, please. Like,
so good.
It's so cool because like it's through different avenues like this that I'm open up to like materials that I didn't catch wind of. You know, social media can only do but so much, and you know it's so. Please send me the link to that. You know,
I'll remind
Twitter or whatever. Yeah. That's so.
Well, I can do that because I'm about to hop off and go upstairs where everybody's asleep. But here's the one thing that I'll kind of chime in on with what Brian was saying about the direction of indie comics. What I really liked about Home is the same thing that I liked about Ma. Is like you want to be afraid of immigrants. You want to be afraid of, you know, victims or the she-devil feminists. Like, hold my beer and we'll give you a reason to be scared of this demonization. Like, I think it's a good way to put those thoughts into context. And if you have not, I will read what Greg said later. It's probably wrong. What I really think you should do if you really enjoyed Ma is to go read Jude Doyle's blog, because they have written essentially the back matter of a trade for each issue, kind of drawing the connections between their experience with trauma, linkages to their transition from identifying as a woman to non-binary to male, like, and bridging that into some of the experiential moments of the book, which makes something like that a pretty cool narrative. So I'll come up with more articulate reasons with why you were wrong beyond these things once I finish my, 3 inches of gin while playing King's Quest here in a little bit. But
there you go.
I figure with the legitimate tantrum that I threw in the chat and then went to Walgreens to get my anxiety and blood pressure medicine, that I guess some gin I'd pop on and celebrate Festivus and DC sex.
Festivus.
It wouldn't be the same without
Cheers.
Festivus.
Oh yeah, here was the other thing that I asked you, Todd. all these lovely stock videos that you made.
Yeah.
Or,
You mean the ones that were
the
sent in
feeling
to me?
videos that were sent in to you.
Yeah.
Is that part of your creation from us having to move D&D to Wednesday nights?
No, but
Okay. Then I won't go full murder hobo for the third time on Wednesday.
Murder hobo. Shout out to Scout Comics.
But good to see it, Brian. Once you drop whatever you've been teasing us with on Twitter, you know that I'm gonna try and get you on a Thursday night so you can continue to tease us.
Yes, I will continue to tease. The tease won't be long. It's coming. I'm so excited about this announcement.
Well, and you do so much shit that it's hard to tell if it's you, if it's a project that you're editing, if it's somebody that you're giving advice to. That
right.
You never know which kind of haymaker you're going to rock us with. So keep crushing it. I'm ready to see how Black Cotton changes when it's in color and ups its intensity, because I would put that on my book of the year list too, because it was good. It gave me things to, like, when we talk about identity politics as a source of where actual politics come from in my government class. I was like, I may have illegally given kids a copy of it in a PDF, so we could look at the intersection of race and capitalism and be like, let's play with these things a little bit. And they were like, oh, that's cool. And I may have given them issue 2 and then told them that they need to go buy the rest on their own.
Hey, look, if we need to hook up like some volume 1 class sets, let me know.
I will hit you up with that, because our sociology teacher is a former kid of mine, and she was like, you're talking about what now? And I was like, yeah, this comic shit makes my things to talk about in government class more interesting. And she was like, but it makes sense to do that in sociology. And I said, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
Hey, I'll hassle you from
let
the
me
chat.
know. Let me know.
Bye, poser.
Bye, poser.
All right. Oh, that's so amazing. That's so amazing.
It is. No indie book is doing what other History of the DC Universe did. Just saying, that doesn't even resemble what's popular in indie comics right now. That's the only point I've wanted to make for a little bit now is I hear you, and that's true for most of it, but other History of the DC Universe is like a compendium of, we fucked up, here's some legit backstory, here's some feels, and here's like a story, and we're not going to try to force it down the normal way. We're going to make you work for it, and you're going to get more out of it because this is denser and more. And I love that.
You know what that's called? Reparations.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say reparations. I was like, I'll let Brian say it.
Is DC doing reparations?
No, exactly. It's like, here's a stack that is more than we normally would do. But it's to make up.
No, and it's not knocking DC at all, because like I've had these conversations, like, with friends and with just people in the comic book industry. I'm just like, you got to commend DC, because there's an effort. Mm-hmm. There's this, this try of, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all trying to get to this point of unity, and DC has really put a foot forward, to phrase it.
Yeah.
A foot forward to really break down walls and to look at, I mean, Black Cotton is about perspective. Mm-hmm. And DC is trying to give a different perspective of their heroes, of their universe, and that has to be respected. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, they understand more so than any of the big two, or I'm just gonna say big two. They understand that they have to, like, walls have to be brought down. How we saw things is not how they need to be seen right now, and they're trying to dive into the past and bring back, not even bring back, but recoup or repair what was done for the modern times. And it really is something that, you know, I've noticed, and it's something I think that should be commended.
Yeah, no, it
So,
should
you
be.
know, I I hope they continue to do it. You know, I mean, you have Chuck Brown, with Black Manta, with Brandon Thomas, and all those great artists doing with the Aquaman, and how they are bringing this whole new era into DC Comics. And you kind of want to root for Black Manta. Like, I remember coming out of a comic book store and I'm just like, yeah, I'm buying this Black Manta because when I was a kid, I didn't have a Black Manta comic to buy.
Yep.
So I'm buying this right now, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to see where this is going to go and how it's going to connect to the overall universe. Not neglecting anyone else, but how this is the way we want our world in real life to be. We want our world to unify, and we want us to understand this global community that exists. And our storytelling, I think once our storytelling really begin to push that forward, I think our world will eventually begin to adapt to it, because it's storytelling that mirrors us.
Yeah.
And if our mirroring can get ahead a little bit, can we look and see ahead and say, oh, this is what we need to do? So it's all good things, man.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's not, reparations aren't, it's always this skewed idea where it's like you're trying to like elevate too quickly, or it's like it feels like it's too much or things like that. It's just equalizing what it should have been. You're making up for decades and years of absence of what should have been. And that's what we're getting. It feels like they're hammering all these different things, but Batman's basically the same. And like, it's not every aspect of DC. DC now looks more like what it should have already have been. And we're just kind of getting it all at once. And that's great. That's awesome. That's how it should be. It just feels like a lot right now. But if you take a step back, it's like, oh, it's just diverse. It's not too much one way or the other. It's just diverse now.
We haven't even talked about Nubia and the Amazons.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Incredible.
And the fact that Nubia is now being pushed as being she's getting like Trial of the Amazons. She's a main character there. She's going to have a one-shot afterwards. And like the fact that Nubia is being pushed and elevated, and those kind of stories are being told. And for this, I'm going to plug Bitches on Comics and their podcast, the interview they just had with the writers, Stephanie Williams. I don't want to get her name wrong, on her thought process of writing Nubia and the Amazons, and including now a Black trans woman femme character in that story. There's just so much going on there, and I commend DC so much for that.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
I agree with you totally. It's you have to, like, and I've had this conversation. You have to applaud them. See, I mean, human beings, we're in the process, and we're always becoming. And DC as a corporation, as an entity, right? They're becoming something, and they've chosen. It's important to understand. They've chosen to say, this is the side we're standing on, and we're going to move forward this way. And it's obvious that they're choosing to move forward this way, and I think that's great. And I think that that it stands out. It stands out to me, and I think that with these legacy characters, while you are building some backstory that we didn't know exists, which is always there, and that's the beauty of it, to be able to go back and build backstory and to tease out this and that, you begin to flush forward a whole new era in comic book storytelling. In comic book storytelling, whether we want to believe it or not, with how Superman has been portrayed, how Wonder Woman has been portrayed, how Batman has been portrayed, it's pushed forward ideas within society. And now that this is happening, in this way with diversity is going to push forward more ideas. And if DC continue to do this and stay with this, it's huge. It's huge because it connects them to the indie comics population who sees indie comics in DC Comics. It pushes them forward into mainstream media because more and more we want to see on TV and film different characters, different visuals. So here we are in this wonderful age of storytelling where diversity is open, is out there, and DC, as far as the big two go, is leading the way.
It is. They are, and they're doing it so consciously. And that's what you say. Like, they're making a choice, and they are. And I don't get why that. It seems like that's getting vilified, and I don't understand. It's a group of people having to choose to do something because DC Comics is a group of people. So everything's a choice. No matter what it is, there's always choices. And it's wonderful that that's the choice they've decided. It makes me so happy. We haven't even talked about, has anybody else read Mr. Miracle, the mini that just happened?
So I was going to point out they're young adult stuff. They're young adult graphic novel stuff.
Oh, that's not even the one that I was talking about. But also that's great too. I have that in my stack to grab because I'm excited about that one. But Shiloh, because that's Shiloh, but as like a young adult Shiloh.
Okay.
They just did Mr. Miracle Source of Freedom, which is a 1 through 6 where it is Shiloh dealing with he's got a hood on. He's a black man in a full dress, like he's gloves. No one knows at all who he is, and the whole book is about him being okay taking the mask off and letting people see that he's black. And that's the big story. It's not Berta shows up or like Scott and Berta's kid shows up to fight him, and that is all just this set dressing for this man who's afraid that he'll stop being loved when people know he's black. And it's just amazing. And they took 6 issues telling this story. It's like, what the fuck? This is incredible. What is happening? Like, I love this book so much. It was in my DC list, but no one else read it, so it did not show up.
No, I read it. Look, here's what I did. I collected all 6 issues, right? I read the first one, and I'm like, man, this is so good. I remember I tagged Brendan Easton.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is just incredible writing, bro. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I remember I got 2, 3, and 4. I got real busy, but it was still on my pull. I collected them all. And I remember like several months back, I said, yo, I had some time. I said, yo, I'm about to sit down and read all of them right now together. And I did. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. But see, here's the deal. And I don't mean to just
you're good.
Talk or whatever, but it could be the bourbon, but it might all be me. I don't know yet. Anyway, so like I remember thinking like, you know what? Even though this is about like this black man behind this mask, here's how it relates to everyone. I thought like everyone has something that they're trying to hide.
There's always a mask on.
Always a mask. It goes back to Paul Laurence Dunbar.
Yep.
The mask we wear.
Yeah.
And we all have something that we're putting in front of ourselves for society in order for us to proliferate, in order for us to move forward, in order for us to grow, in order for us to do something that feels like we're winning. And what I got from it was like, yo, what's my mask? But that applies to everyone, not just a black person. It applies to every single person.
Yeah.
What mask do you wear in order for you to move forward? That's deep. That's deep. And I think that's what diversity does. I think diversity adds this complexity to where metaphorically we can understand ourselves better as into who we are and the things we do to just assimilate to society.
Yeah.
It's deep, man. It's deep.
I also think that it gives another layer of having to understand other people. It's like what I feel like Black Cotton does, where it forces you to empathize because you're all of a sudden on the other opposite side. When diversity happens, you're incidentally empathizing because you're seeing what's your mask. That could have been Shiloh could have been white, and you could have still gotten that same lesson from it. But also now other people are getting a different perspective, or because it's like some people are really dumb and they don't get the metaphor when it's like so literal for them because they're seeing themselves in the character. If they're not seeing themselves in the character, they're searching deeper into it to try to figure out what the meaning is for them, which gives even more depth and why you shouldn't always see yourself in media. You're not getting as much out of it because you'll never go the next step if everything looks like you. It just is all the same. And you're just like, it's super shallow. It's like dude in mask scared. Okay.
That's so brilliant, bro, because like oh man, like we can talk for hours on this. We might be on here till like 3. So look,
it's not the first time.
I'll probably sleep before then. I'm an old man. But look,
sleeping on stream wouldn't be the first time either.
Like it's so interesting because with Black Cotton, like one of the main things, bro, that I really felt was Elizabeth. Like writing Elizabeth and me and Patrick talking about Elizabeth and what she was going through. Like a lot of Elizabeth was like how we felt. And here I am, a Black man, but I'm writing a white woman.
Yeah.
And like I there's a part of me that was her, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really understanding different panoramic views of life through all these different lenses. And there's so many times that I related to her and what she was saying and how she felt. But here I am, not a woman.
Yeah.
You know, not white, but I understood what she was saying and I felt it. And I think that's a great place to be, you know, as a human being, not looking like someone else, not being completely like someone else, but still feeling and thinking the same way. And if we can get there, yo, my boy, I'm sorry, I'm going on this.
I love
boy, like we talk comics and stuff, but he's a huge Star Trek fan, and he's a huge Gene Roddenberry fan. Raymond Fields, a great writer, intelligent writer, and he sent me this missive about global community, and you know that Gene Roddenberry spoke on in a symposium, and he was just talking about how like we have to get to a place of global community. We have to get to a place of understanding ourselves as citizens of Earth versus this land or that land.
Yeah.
And that's what all of this is hitting on. Every bit of this is hitting on just understanding ourselves as citizens of Earth versus individualized groups of ideology that is institutionalized by land and bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. That's all this is. It's a microcosm of that macrocosm. And if we could just get there, man, it's
why I've always wanted aliens. We need aliens for everyone to realize, oh shit, it's us versus them. We need an us versus them where it's literally all of us, because it seems like it won't get through anybody's head. It's like, we're in this together. That is it. This is all we got is all of us. That's our only resources together.
That is it, bro.
So we really need an external force to knock it into some people, because it's real sad how hard it is to get people there.
and see, God isn't going to do it. I mean, I'm not trying to get religious, but God is going to do it because that already created a division, right? Religion isn't going to do it.
Yep.
That created division.
We got big three and then a lot of splits.
Exactly. It's going to take something else to get us to understand. Oh,
Yeah.
this is it. Okay.
And I'm worried it resembles Mad Max or Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real scary.
Yeah.
It's no good option.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not.
There's no good external force that's going to cause it.
No.
I mean, here's the
It's all bad. It's all bad.
Here's the test. The pandemic didn't do it.
Oh yeah.
Your
there was a couple days.
I was waiting for someone to say it.
So close. There was
So
a couple
close.
times that I thought it was like, oh my god, the world is like we're gonna
get in it.
And it's like we're learning all this stuff. We got to be here for each other.
Even
and do
more
everything
division.
we can, and then just and then it just.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh, we're gonna go back to the old. Okay,
Got it. It's
So we're
gonna
doing
be
that.
worse.
Okay.
Oh,
we're doing that again. Okay.
cool.
Here we go.
Cool.
This line, conservative, liberal. You're thinking this. You're thinking that. Confucianism speaks against all of that. You don't understand this unity. That is wow.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
wow.
Go with the river, not against it, y'all.
Yeah, it's actually easier.
Just go with it. But
This is crazy, man.
It's rough.
Crazy. And that's what storytelling, especially, and I think it's a beautiful time for comics. Visual medium, process data through images, and we're getting so many different stories that really touches on so many different kinds of people, different circumstances, and these storytellers, artists, writers, letterers, editorial, publisher, they're not afraid to go there. They're not afraid to go there anymore. And they're going. Yeah. And it's beautiful. It's only going to make us better. It's just a process, I think.
Yeah.
So another category you guys totally botched.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I thought
the golden taco, the one that you were involved in.
Yeah.
That's the one that you're.
I disagree with myself.
Yeah.
I might be more behind that pick than a lot of our own.
Right. I actually don't see. This is where I stumble because who are diverse writers and artists for past characters such as Luke Cage, Falcon, John Steele, and others. The problem is there isn't any. Like when you get into the deep roots of it, there's very few diverse writers and artists for these classic characters because they were white men making everybody. Like a lot of origins are white men going, this is what this would be. And that's why I love a lot of current comics because they're like taking the character and going, no, that's not right. Let's make this make sense and take it over here. Which is great. But there are past is very vague. If you go back, like we were just talking about Rodney Barnes, he did Falcon and it's fucking amazing.
For sure. Yeah.
Brian, do you have examples
from
past? I don't know. That's a tough question.
So like who were diverse writers and that, like you were saying, that is the problem because in my thought, and I pontificate on this, right? I really do like think about this, like, and I talk about it. Like you look at when these characters were created, the era, and you have to understand that these characters are created with the mindset of a certain era. And so your creators and your writers, your artists, they can only go so far because they're in the spectrum of this era. So they can only do but so much. And that's the beauty of it, to be honest with you, because the story has life beyond its creation. Like the writer and the artist are just vessels. This character potentially belongs to the universe. And if done right, it can continue on. And so what happens is, like, for example, Luke Cage, the new idea of Luke Cage, how he evolved, you see it on the Luke Cage show, right? You see that Luke Cage, he starts wearing a hood. He's more like, so much of Luke Cage early on was very like just kind of almost like, I'm not gonna call it blackface, but I'm gonna say it's more of an idea, right?
It's very token.
Yes, of how she's presented, right? And then, but from that, it evolves into this ideology of what does he really represent? And here's where Department of Truth comes in. Department of Truth, I love that. But James Tinian touches on something very important: the power of symbols. And the power of symbols is incredible. And Luke Cage is a representation of a power of a symbol. And so as time has gone on and society has evolved, now Luke Cage can become a different symbol, which then evokes a different power. And so the Luke Cage on Netflix, going to Disney Plus, is a different. I'm not. I'm like plugging.
Yeah, you're plugging Disney.
I'm plugging Disney, but
have you heard of this Disney Plus?
I'm not being paid
by new streaming service called Disney Plus.
Not being paid by them, but
I should check it out.
For,
use black cotton on it.
Hey, black cotton's available. Disney, just saying. And so,
amazing.
And so, what ends up happening is it's where you get this new version of Luke Cage that's more modern, more fit to society now and what he's doing. And I think that I guess we call it diversity, but man, everything has to fit into its time. Everything has to fit into its setting. Everything has to fit into its frame. And I think that Luke Cage and even Falcon with that, Disney Plus and what they did with Falcon.
Oh man,
it's perfectly
good.
It was so good. It fits so with this time, and it's perfect for it. And it was set back way then, and they just had to kind of knit it together for it to be this.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can fault what the past was. And I think we have to accept that. Like, the past is the past. There was some bad done. There's some bad done back there. But I think that all the bad with all the learning has got us to here. And since we're here, let's continue to build on the here.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's nice that it's a time cap. Like what you're talking about is like, it is of a time. Like if you go back to OG Luke Cage, it's a time capsule of this was how Black was represented in the media. It's not great. No. This it is blackface. It's tokenism. No. It is just like, oh, I guess we should have a black guy because, I guess they exist and they probably would have powers, I suppose. And they put them in there. And then it does shift from tokenism and all that to actual representation, which is an important evolution to be able to actually track and see, because you can see through the ages. This is also what has happened with perception in media in general. It stopped being like, oh man, there's like a sidekick or somebody who can like, tell us this story. It's somebody who can be the lead and is representative of people and is true to a specific story. And there it is. And that is an actual thing that happened in the world to real people, which is great. It's still fucked up that that's how it was though back then. It doesn't change that it was fucked up, but it's important to be able to see and track and like look at where we are. That's how I've always seen it, which is like it makes me not want to read early Luke Cage, but it's like it's good to like know that it happened. And like
I agree with you. Like I don't
to
enjoy
acknowledge.
early Luke Cage. You know, you can
Yeah.
revel over like, oh, you know, this golden age, like that
Yeah.
what Marvel was, but you can see some of the gaps, I should say, that's in there. But I think that there's potential within those gaps. And you know, I would love to see a Luke Cage that in comic book form that mirrors what was done on Netflix, because they seem to understand on Netflix, here's how we need to go as far as visual media. You need to do that in the comic books. Give Luke Cage this same verve, this same story, same energy. You know, you can still connect them, you know, to all of his Defender characters. You can still build upon it, and it can be also in the comic book medium as paralleling with what's in, you know, what's on film. Same way that they're going to do with with Daredevil. Like Daredevil going to transition into, you know, Disney Plus and maybe a film, and they're doing a great job with Daredevil in the comic book medium. You know, you can do this with these characters.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
and really well.
Yeah, really well. Like people relate, people like it, and it's not, you know, a black character. It's not just black people liking this black character.
It's just good.
It's good. All people like
it's just good
characters. You know, it's amazing, isn't it?
If white, like, I don't see how race could come into if you liked the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's just good. It's just good. It doesn't matter.
It's good.
Even though Sam Wilson gives like the best speech in the world at the end of the series, and it makes me all like, why can't we have Sam Wilson in real life?
Do better. Do better.
Yeah, do better. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It was one of the things, like my wife, who is a white woman, right? You know, she read Black Cotton, and she just like, here's her take. You know, she's just like, that's a mind fuck right there. Like that was her words. That's a mind fuck.
Those black people seem pretty fucked up.
But you know,
in context to this comic book.
Exactly. and here we are having this conversation, you know, black man, white woman, married, family, and we're having this conversation about Black Cotton. And it's a beautiful thing because, you know, I'm coming from, here it is, implicit bias. I'm coming from one side that while writing it, I'm trying to step back from that side. And here she is as a reader, stepping back from her side. And she's just like, this is interesting. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I want to root for, like, Elizabeth, but I'm kind of over here with, like, you know?
Yeah.
And it does this perspective thing. And I think that those are the conversations that, you know, we have to have, that we should have. And I think that comics overall in different spectrums, I think we're going there. And I think that's incredible for the medium. And I think the medium in the next 20 years is going to be playing a critical part in the structure of our society, in how we see ourselves, which is, you know, incredible to think because it's quote unquote comic books. But I think it really will play a huge part in how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
I agree. And I mean, all media does that. Media is always, you can kind of see where the world's going to be with what we're getting right now in media. And the fact that media seems to care. And it's like, even if it's just they don't want to piss people off, it's like, that is a good first step. Like, okay, you're not worried about pissing people off because for a long time you gave no shits about people's feelings. So that's a really good first step.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's really hard. We didn't bring it up because we're not, at least on the main show, didn't want to bring anything up. But the fact that we have literally open war happening right now is really tough to come to terms with, because it feels like we were past that. We were starting to worry about sociological issues. We're starting to work on our humanity. And this just feels like such a huge step back. Is like, that is so
Like I said,
basic.
we're gonna go do that again.
Yeah, it feels like we're
Very
hitting
well
a big
phrased,
step
bro.
button.
Yeah. And it's not even, and it's not even just like in Europe. It's not even a thing. There are
No.
things that like this whole like, you know, you don't want to get into the main show, but like how much anti-trans legislation is like all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have to like go after these people, like critical race theory, and like, you know,
Yep.
Florida, you know, in my home state right now, the Don't Say Gay bill, like you can't talk about gay people in school. It's
Yep.
like, wait, weren't we kind of past this? Like,
Yeah,
there
it feels
are
like we
queer
were so
people
far
on
past it.
TV everywhere. There are queer people in books everywhere. Like, what the fuck? Like, we're taking like we thought we were past this, and it's all of a sudden, nope, we still got to deal with this shit. So, and I don't
Yeah.
mean to make lie. I don't mean to be like, oh yeah, war, whatever. It's in Europe, no big deal. But like, it's
No.
sort of everywhere.
No,
you
for
think
sure.
we're getting past shit, and it's
Uh-huh.
like, nope. Apparently, we're still having this conversation. So,
Man.
And it's good that I'm just glad media hasn't seemed to take this big step back, and hopefully whatever momentum was happening can kind of get past this roadblock of like, it feels like a lot of people are hitting the end of their midlife and they're seeing the end and they're clinging to like the strings that they have left in the world to try to steer it towards some direction. But that also means or hopefully like just like that, we just need to make it a few more years and we'll really see like the halftime show was of the Super Bowl was for the people in this right now, us four. They catered to us. They catered to millennials for this Super Bowl. That's a big deal. That means like hopefully all that shit we've been talking about, diversity and all of these things that a majority of what seems to be our generation cares about, is going to start being that thing that they're actually trying to make money off of, which is great. If you think you can make money off of this, fucking be more diverse, be more inclusive. That's where the money's at. That's where the money is at. Do that. Awesome.
Every time I see someone on Twitter or some website dumb article saying something along the lines of like, oh, they're just pandering to these people, I'm like, fucking good.
About time.
Because you haven't before.
Right?
You haven't before.
About time.
Yeah.
Like the moment you start pandering to me, it's like, cool, awesome. Treat me like a demographic you give two fucks about.
Yeah, because it's a big deal.
All right.
I always find the pandering thing hilarious because, like, Radiant Black came out, right? That's a fairly new series.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, hey, they're pandering to white people because the main character is white.
Yeah, no one cares.
Nobody ever said that. Nobody was like, oh, I don't like this book because Marshall is straight. Nobody, you know?
That's not pandering to straight people.
No, that never happens. Right? Nobody ever says that.
No. It's
not
so
pandering.
true.
It's just a story that might not represent you personally, but it doesn't mean you can't get anything out of it. And if it makes you uncomfortable, then that's probably a good thing.
It's a good thing.
And you should really think about that and let that guide you through it. If it's bringing up something that makes you feel, especially if it makes you feel bad about who you are, that's a really good one. Then that should be a sign for you to work
on something. Hold on to
You're
that.
like, oh shit.
It's one of the things where and I could really talk a long time about this because now, so we're clear, you know, I come from a theological background.
Sure.
And I'm so into the religion, in theology and in like sociology and philosophy, where what is interesting to me is that where we're at as a people, as a whole, as a group, right? Going cross country, cross these demographics, whatever, is that we are still trying to, as a society, hold on to what we believe was the ways of before.
Mhm.
Like, this is how it's been done. This is how we're going to do it. And America is entrenched in a very Christendom
Mhm.
of how things should go.
Should be.
However, most of them are not Christians.
Uh-huh.
That's
for sure.
And the founding fathers were Freemasons. They weren't Christians. So with opium for the masses, and it has structured for the last 200, 400, whatever years, how we view things. So many people now have bought into their different denominations, whatever, and there's certain structures that are in place that now your salvation, your belief, your family structure are all in jeopardy based off of let's step out of this system. And if you can't step out of the system, now your religion, your family, eternal welfare is in jeopardy. All this is playing in the psyche of our human minds, right? And it's been very well built up and constructed, and it's very hard to tear down because your well-being, the number one fear of human beings,
public speaking,
is death. Not public speaking. That's the second. It's death. And what happens next?
Sure.
Mhm.
So if you jeopardize what they believe is going to happen next, then you have a huge footing into what happens next. And I think that's, every institution plays off of that. Every institution plays off of that. Even your educational system plays off of that.
Yep.
And it's one of them things where, unfortunately, unless you somehow learn, become aware, and make your own choices, you're always within the system, and you're always going to operate within that system. And that's where we're at as a society. We are actually at a really like a crossroad, to be honest with you, because there's so many people that, at the end of the day, if people are going to be honest with themselves, they don't actually believe 100% of what their Bible says. They don't. They want to believe, but they're not actually 100% sure. If they were in a dark room by themselves, they would be questioning. They would be wondering. And that is because the human mind is meant to question and to wonder, because that's where we're at with it. If God wanted us to know, then he would have just showed himself. He didn't. She didn't. It didn't. So
they didn't.
Exactly. so you're not meant to. So you're meant to question. That's the point. And so man then tells you, well, here's what it is. And so now you're told, and human beings can be like sheep and like lemmings, and they follow.
It's easy.
It's easy to do it. It's easy to do it. And that's where society lies at. And that's where capitalism exceeds that.
That's what I was about to say and for the people who fall out of line of that, they just throw money into the mix and they cover everyone then.
That's it.
Like, oh, you got out of that? Oh, here's money.
That's it.
You want me to answer all the questions for you? $4.99 a month, please.
Yes, exactly. And they make
That's
it about it's either class or religion. Those are like the two things, and they make religion a big thing, and then they throw in democratic parties when it's like you're not even worried about who's representing you, just to make sure that you're on the right side. They make it a sport.
Get your color. Pick your color.
Yep, you pick your color,
and
then
don't even, you can just go straight to color.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's always color one way: green,
We'll
black,
shorten it to
white,
one letter for you.
blue, red. And it's just it sucks because the world is set up into boxes, and it's really hard to figure out how to get into a circle. They want you in a box. They don't want you to be anywhere out, because they can either make money off of you, they can gain power from you, they can use you in some way once you choose a box.
Yeah.
It's not being in a box is almost impossible.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible in the world.
It's so well said, Todd. That is it. It is almost impossible. Isn't that sad though?
Yeah, it's how it's set up.
You can't be you. You cannot be you.
So I do need to go to bed, but all of this is reminding me of one thing that I do want to say, and it's as dumb as like I saw it as like a Facebook meme that was probably on like a neighborhood thing. Yes. And it there's no reason it should, but it has been I read it, and it's just been like, not even in the back of my mind, it's like in the front of my mind constantly since I saw it. And the gist of what it said was, and I think this is how we can maybe get there, Brian, is that people need to stop living to make their parents proud, and they need to live to make their kids proud.
I saw that recently too. It's amazing.
I don't know where I saw it, but I saw it. I'm like,
I saw it on Reddit. I saw that on Reddit, and it made me really happy.
And I was just like, that's it right there. It's just everything you do. It's not that parents are Vern's still here or anything, you know. It's not meant as a bad thing necessarily there, but you should.
But the idea is you care about the future, not about the past. Like, worry about your future self.
It's really good.
To me is amazing. I actually, I mean, I try to be an open book a little bit, but like that's amazing to me because I come from a Christian background, and I went to seminary, I studied theology. I didn't do it to become like or ordained minister, whatever. I could though, but but I did it because I wanted to know. And where I got to was, just on a personal opinion, is I don't have I'm not a Christian. I converted, unconverted, because I understand. For me, it's my own walk now, and the studying led me to that. It's my own walk. The studying led me to that, not a belief. The studying did. And so here I am with kids, and I thought about my own life, and I said, you know what? I want them to make their own choices. I want them. So, like, if you're curious, like, they have friends in school that are Christians and who are Muslims. I'm like, okay, so let's learn about Christianity. Let's learn about Islam. Let's learn about all these things so that you can make your own choice. That I'm not passing down to you anything I believe. I have my own beliefs and I share with them. But I clearly say to them, this is mine. You need to know what is yours. Mine does not have to be yours. I need you to decide for yourself, and let me provide the information to you for you to make an informed decision.
Sure.
And that makes all the difference in the world. Making an informed decision. If you want to believe what you want to believe it. But be informed about it. I don't want you to believe it because daddy believes it. Daddy can be wrong. I'm a human being. I've done some stuff.
And where do they go if someday daddy's gone? If their attachment to it is just that, and they don't have they don't have their own foundation to stand on, then
Exactly.
it won't last.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
and it's the hardest thing is just reminding yourself, because I have a 3-year-old about to be 4-year-old, and it's always just trying to also remind yourself not to tip the scale when you tell your kid, hey, form your own opinions, get up to your own question, like ask your own questions, form your own opinions, be your own self, and like having to remember to yourself, okay, when they come to me and they tell me an answer that I don't like, how do I make sure to not just go, like, I'm happy you found your own answer, but it's wrong.
Here's the thing. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think there were ways in which my own parents, they were like, question, do whatever. And then I'd be like, okay, well, here's what I come up with. And they were like, are you sure though?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Like the moment I said, I don't want to go to church anymore, I am agnostic, was I had an easier time coming out as transgender than I had coming out as non-Christian. Like that was the kind of situation it was in.
Yeah.
So you just have to like remind yourself when dealing with your kids, don't tip the scale as well.
It's important.
Yeah.
And it's a hard balance. It's a hard,
absolutely.
Super tough.
I'm saying this for y'all as much as I'm saying it for my own damn self.
Yeah, no. Yeah. My daughter's favorite superhero is the Flash, and it's just like
that is unbelievable, Todd.
That's fine. I
Which
know.
one? Just you have a favorite Flash? Though?
No, she just says the Flash. She doesn't even know the difference. She's a big poser.
Doesn't even know.
Doesn't even know which Flash.
Don't even know.
She's like, honey, come back to me when you pick a Flash.
Do you even know who Jay is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait. But
that would freak me
Flash,
out.
though, at the end of the day.
What?
Oh.
No, what was the question? Don't we want to be Flash?
But isn't all the Flashes the same Flash?
No, some are faster than the others, depending on
No, you have to pick one, and then you have to be vile about the other. You can't.
I'm thinking Barry Allen. Me
too.
As all comics discussion go, pick a side, hate everything else on the other.
Exactly.
Yes.
There is no medium.
Yeah.
Because I would say I would be wrong, but I would be like, I really love Barry and I love Wally, and I don't really want to choose between the two. That would make me bad because I need to choose a side. You can't just be okay with two of them. That's wrong.
Batman v Superman and Civil War told us we have to pick a side.
You have to pick a side.
Yeah.
Todd,
had two.
That is
the point.
Todd, that is so powerful. Like, you have to pick one. Like,
you have to pick one.
Like, that's huge. Like, you have to pick one.
You have to.
Isn't that what we're basically facing all our lives? You have to pick something.
Literally for everything.
Someone
everything's
has
a
to
choice.
win the golden burrito.
You have to pick.
Yes, someone has to choose the golden burrito. You have to choose what you eat every day. You have to choose if you're going to snooze the alarm or not. You have to choose if you're going to be productive or if you're going to slack off. Literally everything's a choice. And then the big picture stuff is also presented somehow binarily, which doesn't make any sense. How there's these huge things that are like, it's this or this. And it's like, but why not both? Because. And it's no good reason why. It just is.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, Nick.
Good night, everybody. Ryan, I could sit here and talk to you all night.
Yeah.
Night.
I've
had a long day. So.
Yeah, he was at Beer Fest before this.
Yeah, I spent all day drinking beer outside in the Michigan cold.
Congratulations to you.
And then did this. It was a tough day.
He's a tuckered burrito.
I'm very, very tired. So everybody have a good night.
Right.
Love everybody. See you guys.
See ya.
Oh, I gotta click it twice.
Yeah, you do. Oh, hey, the graphics back.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them things where, like, I mean, man, like, one of my favorite discussions to have is about like society, and I have a whole lot of ideas about society, ideology, and like just. I mean, for me, one of my biggest tenets, not being a religious follower anymore, is knowledge of self,
Mm-hmm.
know thyself, know who you are. And one of the things that I'm constantly thinking about is what part of me is operating here versus what part of me is operating based off of my societal expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you begin to have that battle within yourself,
Tricky.
yeah, on those two levels, it's very interesting because you might not like when you realize that the way you think is really based off of just not really what you believe, but just what you've been told or what you feel from experience. It really is this man, like this judgment phase of yourself. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my goodness, is this who I really am? And I think that's what knowing who you are is about. It's about examining yourself in the why and the how of of how you think and how you operate. And the world isn't the world isn't ready for that. Most people are not ready for that.
I think that's why people are freaking out real hard right now, is because the world and society started bringing us to that point of actually questioning, why are we doing this? Why are we operating this way if it seems to be so negative for so many people, and so many people broke trying to figure out in their brain, rationalizing the past, even though it doesn't matter. Like what you said, it doesn't matter what Luke Cage's origins are or anything. It really only matters what we do right now, because we can't change the past. But so many people broke over the fact that like institutional racism was presented as a fact. Good luck refuting that with any real notions besides, nah, that's not how it was. And people got challenged so much that now they've completely broken down and went, nah, that can't be how it was. That can't be how it is. We're going to go back to how it was, because that's when things were okay. The 80s, everything was fine.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan was president and it was great.
Yeah. Nothing
Right?
was wrong with the 80s.
Yeah. And it's all these people
everyone
breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was fine. And it's just, we've hit all these, we might have almost, it might have happened too fast for too many people, where it was just too much to handle. And now they've regressed to the point where now they don't have to deal with the fact that they are built on privilege. They are built on all these different factors. It's like, nah, never mind. That's not even true. Let's not deal with any of it.
I love the fact that I mean, and I've said this before, like in personal conversations, I love the fact that I'm living in the time that I'm living in. What a time to be alive! Like there's
the best time.
Yeah, it's so much history. There's so much history that you're living through that people beyond you and be like, oh my God, they went through that. But at the same time, I'm like, oh man, like you just don't understand. Like, this is while we're living through it, you have to understand that those that are going to come behind us are going to have a way better perspective than what we have.
They're going to think it's wild that we transitioned through what we did.
No, it's incredible.
They're going to be like, all of this happened within like 40 years. What? They're going to freak out about it.
Hell, even a decade. Even a decade.
Yeah, even a decade.
Like 2012 to 2022, like
it's huge.
Recount everything that's happened.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible for people to look back on, and we're living it, and everything that we're doing is going to be what other people 20 years from now, 4 years from now are going to be studying, and they're going to be examining, and they're going to be trying to figure out their own world based off of like what happened before. Our generation, right, is really just based off of what was left before us.
Yeah.
And they thought they had done so well with what they did.
They thought they killed it.
And we're like, here we are. I don't think we're going to think we've done well at all.
No.
I think we're going to understand, like, man, we're just trying to figure this thing out.
We were doing our best.
Exactly. And I think the bad thing is like, yo, like, these people were really trying to figure themselves out. Like, what can we take from this? And I'm willing to accept the fact that my lifespan is what it is. My lifespan is what it is, and it's going to do what it's going to do. Yeah. And I don't even know what that is, really. But there's something else that's going to come beyond and like past us, that if we lay enough foundation, that they can really build upon it. And we don't know if they're going to really do it or not. But that's what, oh man, like this to me is religious. Like, this is where it's at. Like, what we pass on to the next. And it's undetermined. We don't know.
Yeah.
It only exists when they get there.
Yeah. There is no knowing until it is.
No, but all of this, but here's the great thing with like this right here that we're on right now, the videos and the podcasts, the reviews, like there's going to be so much wealth of information for people to just ascertain that they're going to be able to like their mind is going to be different than ours, because we're coming from, I mean, me personally, card catalogs and researching on like encyclopedias,
microfiche.
They're not exactly. They're not going to be doing it. Like, they're going to be able to recall all of this, and they're going to be able to learn better than we ever learned. And experience.
The future archaeologists, I firmly believe, will be internet based. They'll be scrubbing things and trying to find these nooks and crannies of small communities that never really blossomed, but there's a lot to be like extrapolated about community and people and all of these things. And anthropologists in the future will have a wealth of information to dig for and look into, because it's all here. We're living together publicly and on record. And it is really interesting, because right now what we get from Aristotle and Confucius and all these old great thinkers are only what they deliberately put out, and then what the masses clung on to actually bring to the forward. Anything can just exist now, and it can happen for a very long time. And it's wild what will be able to be learned. And who knows, these great thinkers that might be seen in the future, who might only have like 4 subscribers on YouTube right now, but they might end up being like this really important figure in the future, because they'll be found and like, wow, the genius. And it's incredible.
It is completely incredible. And if you can somehow, and I've been trying to wrap my mind around it, Todd, I've been trying to wrap my mind around it, to where when I'm gone and these podcasts and whatever comic books and whatever things I've been attached to, when people somehow find them and somehow find meaning in them, even though I no longer exist, and it forms thought, and it forms this energy, and it forms whatever comes next. Like, see, for me, I understand from Christianity, that is eternal life. That is what Jesus was talking about. Right there. It is what is inside of you, that is the kingdom of heaven, which is eternal, which lives on. It's not so much that I have to be this figure of Brian in this other place. It's the idea it's the ideology, it's the feeling, it's the energy, it's what prolongs and proliferates throughout this spectrum of whatever we call life that lives on, and that is eternal life. That's what I've come to understand from my Christian thinking, from being Christian to not being Christian. That's now my thought.
Yeah.
Is that everything Jesus is talking about really is more in a metaphorical leaning towards a literal sense.
Yeah.
In this way. Not to display anyone's belief, but
no. But it's ripples. You put out these ripples, and then someone notices it, and even if it's at the wide end where like the ripples are almost imperceivable, all it takes is one person to notice it and poke it, and all of a sudden that ripple goes back out because they're like, oh, that's a cool ripple, and they poke it, and all of a sudden more ripples, and they're like, oh, that is cool, and all of a sudden all these pokes can happen. And that's literally what happened to Da Vinci. He made all these paintings and no one gave a shit, and then all of a sudden he's gone, but then everyone's like, oh shit, this is real dope. That's really cool. But now there's thousands of Da Vincis out there that no one knows about but could be discovered at any point in human future. And it can just all happen again. It's incredible. It's amazing.
It's wild. It's so amazing. Like, I mean, I actually had a glimpse of it. Like Friday, actually, an old student of mine reached out to me. From like he reached out to me. Like, I taught him in DC maybe like 7 years ago. He reached out to me 2 weeks ago through Group Hangout. Then he still had my number saved, and he texted me. And so I'm like, oh, I know what this is. So I hit him back. And so we linked up. Pandemic, see, Zoom, everything else. Like, yo, let's get a call. I started talking to him. Like, I saw him face to face. A kid that I knew at 16, 17. I'm now seeing him at 22. I'm just like, yo, what's up, bro? And we're talking, and I'm learning about his life. I'm learning about what he's going through, and I'm just like, he began to quote to me some of the things that I said in the classroom that he passed on to some of his workers, like, because he began working in a school, and he was like a para. And he told his teacher some of the things I did, then the teacher began to do them. I'm just like, oh snap. Like, and that's how it works. Like, I knew nothing about this. I did something back in 2015, 16, and it caught this one person, and he began to pass it on, and now someone else is doing something similar to what I did.
Yeah.
And it becomes this whole thing.
And they're teaching people who might become a teacher, and then they're doing it, and all of a sudden it's this whole thing.
That is my favorite thing about being a teacher educator, because I teach teachers. I run a university program for teachers who go on, and I've had several message me very recently over the past year going, hey, I'm doing this thing that you taught me to do, and it works, and thank you, and I appreciate it, and like, thank you for helping me, or like, even this tidbit of advice helped me so much. It's like, that's the thing I live for. Like, as a teacher educator, that's what I want to do, and I live for that because I've had an effect on a teacher who's having an effect on the next generation of kids. Like, the fact that I have a former student of mine who's now teaching middle schoolers and passing on that shit. Yeah. Like, it's just that's what I live for. Like, that's what I got in this game to do, and I love it.
It's amazing.
I believe that is, I mean, this is my personal belief. I believe that breeds true immortality. That our understanding of immortality and whatever, I mean, who knows what else is next? And it could be whatever any religious text says. But I think that for us as a composite, I think we can really almost grasp that to say, like, yo, this is something important that I've done.
Yeah.
And I believe the effect. I can see the effect. And I don't know the complete end result, but I can glimpse it a little bit. And that's enough for me.
Mhm.
And I think that's so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
And I think the more that the world gets that, the better the world will be.
Yeah.
That, I mean, case in point, I mean, we all might just fade and die and just be ash and bone, but our thought,
Cool with me.
yeah, right. Our thought, our minds, what we did, it could very well live on, and that's okay.
We don't even know how time works.
Exactly, that's okay.
Like, who the fuck knows? The universe might implode again, and we explode, and we just do this shit all over again.
Who the fuck?
This might be like the millionth time we've all had this conversation. Who the fuck knows?
Isn't that brilliant? I love that.
Like, who knows?
That. Yes.
Exactly. And man. All right. So what I'm getting from all of this is that we need to have Brian in on a panel royale or a comic cocktail hour.
Absolutely.
Over on For Everyone Media and get all of us like, this would be amazing.
Did you want to take the opportunity to plug the panel royale for next week?
Yes. So panel royale next week from today, or yesterday now. It is Women's History Month, so we're going to be having a different conversation than you would expect for a Women's History Month. We're going to be talking about sexual themes in comics and things along those lines. It's going to be an interesting conversation that I think I'm going to be really interested to sit in and experience. Because we have 3 very wonderful women on For Everyone Media with 3 very different ideas and concepts on what is femme, and I love that, and it's amazing. So I'm extremely excited. And then we also will have a comic cocktail hour that is women creator oriented, which will be 2 weeks later. And it's so it'll be a week from tonight. It'll be in the Burrito spot because for the first couple months, For Everyone Media's shows will be every other week in the Burrito slot. Which sounds dirtier than it is.
I was waiting for you to get there, Todd.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I think we lost most people because we went very late, but on the replay, please let us know about everything we just talked about. There's so much. We went very, very deep and very wide, and I'm excited to keep talking about these themes. I think we've got like 3 themes out of our whole conversation that we could have shows about. So Brian, you're stuck now with us for at least a few episodes.
I would look Todd and Jamie. I would love to come on and talk to you guys and chat about anything. Like,
cool.
Like, this is not just about Black Cotton or anything that I have going on. Like, at the end of the day, I am a teacher at heart.
Yeah.
I have 17 years of teaching. I love talking. I love like speaking like ideas and just listening. Yeah. So, I'm totally down. Anything,
and that's what we want to. That's what we want to do with our guests. Is like we might do like something with you on one of the shows that's more creator oriented, but then in a couple of the femme shows, it's just getting creators then to get outside of the bubble of their works
Right.
and then talk with us about themes and things like that. And it's not about Black Cotton. It's about an aspect that may be adjacent to it or not even at all close to it. But yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
So cool.
I'm
Thank
down
you
with
for
whatever you want me to do.
Yeah. I will send you the links.
All right.
But yeah, thank you all so much for trucking it through us with the whole night. Thank you, Brian and Jamie. A little less Jamie because it's you're part of the family, but like still thank you for being here.
Hey.
Brian, it was fantastic to meet you. It's fantastic to meet you. I love the conversation.
Oh, thank you. It was great to meet you as well. Love the conversation, and I can't wait for more. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
I'm Todd.
I'm Jamie.
Thank you.
And this has been Comic Burrito Golden Burrito After Party.
Oh, it was a party too.
Bye.
Ooh, look at this. Look at this. Wow.
Oh, where is it? There it is. Bye.